everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. And it's Monday morning, the day after the 1-0 victory against West Ham United at Old Trafford. It was a vital no-lose game, as I spoke about. Obviously, the win is absolutely fantastic. I believe that win has absolutely nailed down United's position in the top four of the table this season. You know, to guarantee, not guaranteed yet, of course it isn't, but the top four guarantees you Champions League football. That's been the aim since day one. Obviously, now that we're up there as high as we are, we'd like to finish second. I don't think. Well, to be honest, I was about to say I don't think we really thought from day one that we had a genuine chance of winning the title. City and Liverpool have been too good for the last few seasons. You know, 90 odd points would have been a stretch too far to expect United to get to really challenge for the title. Maybe that can come in the coming seasons, or maybe they'll slip a little bit. But Liverpool have obviously slipped this season, so it looks like we've got a great chance of finishing second. But when I say a great chance of finishing second, we're well above Liverpool, obviously. A great chance of finishing second above Leicester and Chelsea as we speak at the moment. So if you'd have said to me at the start of the season we were going to finish second, I would have said that's absolutely fantastic. I would have taken it for sure. Like I say, Champions League football is the main target, and I think it is now virtually certain with that victory. I spoke at length about the importance of not losing that game. West Ham was 6 points behind us with a game in hand. If West Ham would have won it, obviously they'd now be 3 points behind us with a game in hand, and the top four race really would have been on. Had it been a draw, I said yesterday, and I'll stick with it, that would have been fine. A draw would have been 6 points in front of them with a game in hand and still well in the driving seat. But now, with that victory, 9 points ahead of West Ham, and a quick glance at the table, West Ham are in fifth still, so we are 9 points now ahead of the fifth place team. Okay, they've got a game in hand. You can't always win your games in hand, but a 9 point cushion between us and the fifth place team now. I'd be absolutely staggered if we ended up struggling to finish in the top four. So as much as it was vital not to lose that game, which it was a vital no-lose game, the victory has really put us in a fantastic position. Leicester, by the way, will be the happiest team around, probably even happier than we are. Even Leicester will have wanted us to win that game yesterday. Leicester are on 56 points, 1 point behind us, but obviously by us beating West Ham, that's put West Ham 8 points behind Leicester, so it's really strengthened Leicester's position to finish in the top four. I'm sure, like us, they'd like to finish second, but they'll be over the moon just to get a Champions League place, Leicester. So believe it, Leicester would have wanted us to win that game yesterday. As I say, it strengthened their position on their hold on a top four place. So West Ham are now, like I say, 8 points behind Leicester. Okay, they've got a game in hand on them, but that's quite a big cushion. And then Chelsea are in fourth. Chelsea will still be looking over the shoulders at West Ham. Chelsea are 3 points in front of West Ham after the weekend's football, but West Ham have got a game in hand on Chelsea. Chelsea seem to be on the up though. They've still not, even though they had a bit of a drab affair with Leeds at the weekend, a 0-0 draw, they're on the up with Thomas Tuchel. And I would suggest that the top four is already, as it is now, City, us, Leicester and Chelsea. I really do think that. West Ham, Everton and Spurs all got beat at the weekend. So when I was talking about Leicester being so pleased, obviously they wanted West Ham to lose. Everton are in sixth, they lost. Spurs are in seventh, they lost. So it's really strengthened everybody's position in the top four. Well, I won't suggest it's strengthened City's position in the top four, but it's strengthened our position, Leicester's position, and even Chelsea, who only got a point at the weekend, but they still gained a point over West Ham, Everton and Spurs. So I think that top four really is looking like it's taking shape now, and I think it'd be an absolute disaster if we ended up even embroiled in a fight for fourth now, or the top four. We should really have it nailed down. On the game itself, obviously there wasn't a lot, there's a lot of injuries. we didn't really have a lot to choose from. He had the Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw, his usual back four. His back four's set in stone now. We've got a massive game coming up on Thursday. He won't rest any of his back four for that game now. He wants to try and win a trophy. He'll be desperate to get through in that Europa League tie against AC Milan. The back four will be set in stone, as I say. McTominay and Fred played, Bruno, and up front Dan James, Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford. Dan James is getting a lot of stick on Twitter, a lot of stick from different areas, different pundits. I really don't understand it. One thing that I have noticed, anybody who can remember as far back as if you were following me or watching me on the United stand, as far back as the beginning of the season, if you remember the disastrous start we had at the beginning of the season, we got beat by Crystal Palace at Old Trafford 3-1. We got beat by Brighton. We beat Brighton 3-2 away, and we got beat 6-1 by Spurs, and we were lucky to get the win at Brighton. So we had 3 points from the first 9, and we conceded 11 goals in 3 games. And I was banging on at the time that we needed to go back to basics and get 2 players on the flanks who understood the importance of team shape and who understood the value of work rate and of the team having enough players behind the ball every time the opposition had the ball. And I suggested at the time that the best 2 players for those roles were Juan Mata and Dan James. And sheerly coincidentally, our next tie, there was an international break. Sheerly coincidentally, our next game after that international break, Newcastle away. Now you might say it's only Newcastle, but we had lost at home to Crystal Palace 3-1 previously to that. So, okay, it was only Newcastle. But he actually went with Juan Mata and Dan James for the game at Newcastle. Quite a lot of fans at the time were saying, what's going on? What's this team? But we went and won 4-1. It was our first decent win of the season. We had a really lucky win at Brighton, as you can all remember, with a penalty being given to us even after the final whistle had gone. So it was our first decent win of the season, and what a win, 4-1. And then he kept Juan Mata and Dan James in for the next game in the league, which was Chelsea, and we drew 0-0. So the team shape was better, and we were conceding suddenly from conceding absolutely oodles of goals, 11 in 3 games, we conceded 1 in 2 games, and one of those games was against Chelsea. So the idea was to stiffen the team up, make us more difficult to beat and get the team shape right. And then he seemed to have, well, he abandoned the experiment. It was like it was an experiment. It was almost as if we had a good win at Newcastle 4-1, and the idea was to stem the flow of goals, which it did. We conceded 1. We'd conceded 2, 3 and 6 in the previous games. So it was like, that's worked fine. Then we played Chelsea at Old Trafford and we drew 0-0. And it was like the experiment was thrown out of the window. We drew 0-0 with Chelsea, but the whole idea of it was to stop conceding goals. So on that side of it, it was still perfectly fine. A 0-0 draw with Chelsea compared to the first 3 results of the season, or certainly 2 of the first 3. Okay, we won at Brighton very scrappily, but it was a step in the right direction still. But after the 0-0 draw with Chelsea, he abandoned it. He dropped them, the 2 wide players that I'd suggested should be playing. And in the very next league game, we got beat 1-0 by Arsenal. But he didn't go back to it. The results were there to be seen that they were better when we played like that in those early games. So then, completely abandoned. Let's bring that up to speed. Dan James has been brought back into the team. The team shape's better. And we are now conceding very few goals again. Now, you could say it's a sheer coincidence. If you want to argue that, that's fine. And maybe it is a small sample size. Maybe it is arguable. But I don't know how long it would have to go on for this to continue before the evidence became overwhelming. Dan James has been back in the team now. He's played 7 games. In those 7 games, we have kept 5 clean sheets and we've only conceded 2 goals. One in a 3-1 win against Newcastle and one in the 1-1 draw with AC Milan. I will add, by the way, that Dan James had been substituted by the time AC Milan equalised. And he wasn't substituted for his performance. He was substituted at the same time as Wan-Bissaka and Bruno. So I think it is dawning on Ollie, because the three players that were substituted with about 15 or 20 minutes to go against AC Milan were clearly substituted with the West Ham game in mind, rested in order to be ready and fully, raring to go against West Ham. So Dan James wasn't even on the field when the AC Milan scored. So while he's been on the field in the 7 games that he's played, we've conceded 1 goal. Now, I'm not suggesting for one moment, obviously the back four has tightened up. We have been stronger defensively for quite a while now. But I don't think it should be completely overlooked, the value of the team shape when Dan James is in the team and the work rate that he brings to the team. I've seen a few people saying all he does is work hard. I saw one person say, he's been brought into the team because of what he does off the ball rather than on the ball. But his distribution's not too bad. It really isn't. Okay, he gives a few balls away, but who doesn't? I haven't rewatched the game yet. I'm going to rewatch it. I am going to rewatch it today, and I will be doing the ratings show tonight. But from my memory, from watching the game once live, and as I always say, you get a bit frustrated while you're watching the game, I don't think Dan James gave the ball away any more often than our other forwards, Mason and Marcus, and I don't think he gave it away as poorly either. Not so much Mason, but Marcus. I seem to remember a couple of poor decisions and poor passes, perhaps worse than Dan James plays. But obviously Dan has got this this thing against him, that this I think it's a myth that his decision making is poor. I see all the time on Twitter that he hasn't got any football intelligence. I'm going to really study it today. In fact, I'm going to study both wingers, because to me his football intelligence looks equally as good or equally as bad, if you want, as Marcus is. I don't see a difference at all. I really don't, and I'm going to really study it today and have a good look at that. But like I say, and one or two people on Twitter have pointed this out, he might well be in the team more for what he does off the ball than for what he does with the ball. And there's nothing wrong with that. You do need one or two workaholic players in your team. You do need your team shape to be good. And we've got AC Milan away on Thursday night in the Europa League. We have got to score a goal, of course we have. If we don't score, we're out. It's as simple as that. But we've also got to keep the back door shut. There's no point going 1-0 or 2-0 down and then trying to score our goals. I know it's doable still, but our best way of approaching that game, a little bit like the West Ham game. It was a must not lose game, the West Ham game, and we kept it tight and we got a goal in the end. And the one got all right. It was an own goal, but we got a goal in the end and managed to win the game 1-0. I believe it's our best approach on Thursday night. I believe that we can win 1-0 there on Thursday night. I really do. And for us to win 1-0, for us to keep a clean sheet, I believe that Dan James will be an important player in that team. And if we can get that 1-0 victory, it doesn't matter who scores the goal, doesn't matter who creates the goal. It really doesn't. But I believe we can get the victory there that we need. It doesn't have to be 1-0, of course, but 1-0 will be perfectly fine. And I believe if we set ourselves up properly, if the team shape's right, and Dan James will be an important member of that, I believe we can keep a clean sheet and nick a goal there. I really do, and I'm looking forward to that game. So that's that on United for the weekend. The other games yesterday, I watched Brighton beat Southampton. I watched that game. I always enjoy watching Brighton, and I've been thinking for a while, I'm not over impressed with that Neil Maupay that plays up front for Brighton, and every time I see Danny Welbeck play, he really looks sharp. I've always liked him as a player anyway. He's got a great first touch. He's got good vision. When I say vision, a lot of people when they talk about vision in football, they think about long passes. It's seeing the short passes that's important. Much more important that you see the short passes. Danny Welbeck yesterday, one shot, I put a clip on Twitter of a back-heeled pass that he gave to Maupay, and Maupay had a shot and the keeper tips it over the bar. But the back-heeled pass that he gave to Maupay, I put it on Twitter. You can see that he looks where he is first. Everybody knows I don't like fancy flicks. But he looks over his shoulder, he sees Neil Maupay, then he looks where the ball's coming from, and he plays it behind his standing legs, right into Maupay's path. So as much as I don't like fancy flicks, and I really don't, Danny Welbeck makes it look like it's a simple pass. It's not. It's not a fancy flick to Danny Welbeck. It's just like, I've seen where he is. I'm going to pass it to him. When it comes to him, he back heels it straight into his path. So it just makes it look dead easy. Like it's not a fancy flick, if you like. And as I say, Mopé had a shot. The keeper saved it, and from that corner he scored. That's a coincidence. You could score from any corner. But the more things you get right, the more passes you get right, obviously the more corners you can get, the more free kicks you can get, the more goals you can get. So tiny little things like that can mount up and can lead to goals for you. And then the winning goal for Brighton was just a beautiful first touch pass straight into, is it Trossard, I think, who got the goal? Apologies if I've got that wrong, I can't quite remember, but I think it was Trossard. But it was played into Welbeck's feet on the corner of the on the edge of the box, but virtually where the D reaches the box, and he played it first touch straight into his path. He was cleaning on goal, and it was a beautiful first time pass. And I thought Danny Welbeck had a fine game. I wasn't the only one as well. Danny Murphy in commentary was eulogising about Danny Welbeck, how well he played. And then when he freshened it up, Brighton, with about 15 minutes to go, they took Welbeck off. And Danny Murphy, just as I was extremely surprised that it was Welbeck that was removed. Unless maybe they think he can't do the full game. Unless maybe they want to keep him fresh for the next one. Keeping him fresh for the next one, no, I'm not sure about that, because he's not been getting games anyway. So maybe the manager's still not impressed enough. But he's doing a great job there, Potter. But if that's one thing that I believe, if Danny's fit, obviously we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But if Danny's fit and fit to play, I'll tell you for certain he's getting that wrong. Well, if Welbeck's fit and ready to play all the time, he should be playing. He's definitely the brightest spark up top for Brighton, and that's what they're missing, I think. But they got the 3 points, and they climbed the 3 points clear of the relegation zone. Leicester beat Sheffield United 5-0. I've spoken about Leicester already. I think that, like us, they're virtually nailed on now for top four. Ineacho got a hat-trick, and Arsenal beat Spurs 2-1. Eric Lamela with a wonderful goal, with a shot from, with one leg behind his standing leg, so to speak. It really was a brilliantly taken goal, that. It was the sort of thing that people might say, I thought you didn't like that sort of thing, but if it comes off, doesn't it? And I'm sure in the penalty area, putting his left leg behind his right leg and shooting, I'm sure it's something that he hasn't tried very often before either. So that was perfectly fine. It was a brilliantly taken goal. He got sent off in the end, Lamela. I watched as much of that game as I could. I didn't see it all. But I was pretty disappointed with Spurs. I really was. I thought they were going to be stronger than that and better than that. And I thought Arsenal really were the better team from start to finish, from what I saw, and thoroughly deserved the 2-1 victory. Aubameyang was late on parade, by the way, and dropped for being late. I don't know if this is perfectly true, but I've heard rumours that they've got a problem with him, with his timekeeping, with his punctuality. So apparently he was late and was dropped to the bench. But obviously the 2-1 win means they didn't miss him. Simple as that. So well done to Arsenal for winning the North London derby. They've got the bragging rights for a good while now. I did watch as much as I could of the Inter Milan game yesterday. Inter Milan won 3-1. 2-1. Lukaku scored. He got his 25th goal of the season, Romelu Lukaku. Yes, it was a penalty, by the way. Lukaku got a penalty. They won 2-1. They've gone 9 points clear at the top. AC Milan got beat 1-0 by Napoli. So Inter have now gone 9 points clear. Juventus had a 3-1 win against Cagliari. But Juventus have got a game in hand. Juventus are 10 points behind Inter with a game in hand. So obviously that could be 7 points. So it's looking like Juve may be the major threat right now. But AC Milan, our opponents on Thursday night, as I said, they got beat at home 1-0 by Napoli. But Napoli are a good side as well. We can get the same 1-0 win. You mark my words, we can get a 1-0 win there on Thursday night, I'm sure of it. On Romelu Lukaku, by the way, he's now played 85 games for Inter Milan and scored 59 goals. So he's on fire over there. Well done to him. I'm looking forward to this game Thursday. Absolutely can't wait for it. Desperate for us to get through. Then it's Leicester on Saturday. I'd love us to get through on Sunday, I should say. Desperate for us to get through that one as well. Really looking forward to these two cup ties that are coming up this this weekend, really, Thursday and Sunday. I'll be back later on this evening with the ratings for sure. I'm going to when I'm watching a game, I'm going to take. We played with two wingers. Dan James is getting so much stick. We played with two wingers. I'm going to take particular notice of both the wingers and see what see how I actually think they both performed when I'm re-watching it again. You can watch it with a much calmer state of mind when you already know the result and you've seen it all before. So I'm looking forward to watching that later today. I'll be speaking about the two players on Rating the Ratings when I come back this evening. If you've enjoyed that show, please subscribe. Please tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.